Road trip to LA, same result though for the Utah Hockey Club. They dropped their third in a row. Tom Callahan here with you. We're doing some post-game reaction to the Utah Hockey Club's loss on the road at the LA Kings. Better? Maybe. We'll talk about it. Let's do it on this episode of the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast.
You are Locked On Utah Hockey Club, your daily podcast on the Utah Hockey Club, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making us your first listen every single day when it comes to the Utah Hockey Club. Robin is generally off on the Saturdays, and when I can, I am able to do the solo show on Saturday here to do a little game wrap. I know that UHC is going to play a lot of Saturday games, so most of the time you're going to be talking to me here for some of the post-game stuff on the weekends especially, so that's all right. We're going to talk about the game today in LA. Some good things came out of it. Certainly when you get Nick Bjugstad back in the lineup, that doesn't hurt your feelings at all. We'll talk about how he played, how he feels. We're going to hear from him in this post-game show. Plus, we're also going to hear from head coach Andre Tourigny. So stay tuned for those. All right, so I got to tell you, today's show is brought to you in part by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. All right, so Saturday, it's the third straight loss for the Utah Hockey Club, a tough one. They're still looking for the first regulation road win as well. Both of their wins on the road so far have been overtime. But tough one against the Kings, 3-2. They had to dig their way back into this one. Start wasn't great, and I think that's been a little bit of something we've seen from Utah this year. It's a little bit of a slow start. They did, as I say, kind of get back into it, but never ended up tying the game. LA just stayed in front, did just enough to win this game. And you know what? I saw sometimes things from Utah where you think, all right, maybe they're picking it up a little bit here. Maybe things are getting a little bit better for them. Again, you get some energy from the return of Bjugstad, but he hasn't played in a while. So knowing all those things going into it, and interesting coming out of, I think, Thursday's game, where head coach Andre Tourigny was clearly torqued. He was very upset, didn't like the lack of effort, thought his team just didn't show up in that loss against the Avalanche, and I completely agree with him. I think they look better today. He also thought they looked better and we'll, as I say, hear from him a little later in the show. When you take a look inside the numbers from this game, time on ice, Mikhail Sergachev, the leader among defensemen, 26-18. No surprise, that's going to be the way it's going to be for Sergachev. One shot. Did have an assist on one of the goals here today. And I'll tell you what, we're going to talk about this here in a moment, kind of the setup and the puck movement around that. But you know what? For the Utah Hockey Club, I thought not a bad game. Special teams-wise, I actually thought that Clayton Keller's goal had come on the power play. Now, interestingly enough, they listed it as an even-strength goal. And when you look at the timing of the goal, 15:55 of the second period, 13:54 was the time of the minor against Kevin Fiala for cross-checking. So by 1 second, it is not a power play goal, but it feels like a power play goal. It came off the setup and a nice cross-ice feed. Keller scores from Sergachev and Schmaltz. By the way, Nick Schmaltz already 8 assists on the year. Good to see that Schmaltz is distributing and doing well. And at that point, that was a big goal because it made it 2-1. But you'll hear me talk a lot about first minute, last minute of periods. And I think that this is kind of where the game turned because Utah at this point had fought their way back in, had taken the momentum on the road from the Kings. It was 2-0, and then all of a sudden you get this goal, you have some energy. You finish the period down 2-1. Coming out in the third, now you have a chance, if you can grab that momentum, to either tie the game or at least continue to generate chances, keep the energy on your side, and maybe you get that bounce or that break. But instead, 109 in, they give up a goal to Joel Edmondson. He scored twice in this game, his first 2 of the season. And that's a tough one. And 109, I know it's not the first minute technically, but it's right at the start of a period. Now you're down 3-1. Now you're chasing the game again in the third. So they do come back. Logan Cooley gets his first. Congratulations to Logan. Good to see him get on the board from Kesselring and Gunther. But they were just chasing that game a little bit in the third when they, you don't want to be chasing the game. I didn't think it was obviously nearly as bad as what we saw on Thursday night. That was a completely different effort or lack thereof. They were better today. Still not quite good enough to get over the hump against the Kings. On the road, matinee effort. Did that have something to do with it? Maybe, maybe not. I don't think afternoon starts favor one team over another. I don't think that players play worse or better just because the start time's bumped up. I know I saw in comments to one of the previous videos, they were saying, oh, the hockey players are out at the Utah Jazz game on Wednesday and played like crap on Thursday. Maybe that's something to do with it. It did not. It did not. Unless they were up there just absolutely getting schmammered, which I know they weren't, because that's not what they do. Professional athletes are not like that anymore. It is not like that. Each one of those guys is a machine. They so closely monitor what they put in their bodies. It's no different than if you had gone out to dinner. The only difference is you happen to be watching a basketball game. So no, that has nothing to do with their performance. Absolutely not. What has everything to do with their performance is your natural biorhythms. You go up and down. You have good games. You have bad games. Sometimes you throw out a clunker. Sometimes you don't. But you can control your effort. And I think they did a better job with the effort tonight. That was one of the main things that I do want to underscore. So, yes, my very first point on here is better with a question mark. Yeah, it was better. It was better. I thought they were better tonight as a team, and I thought it was a step forward, and I thought they did better for themselves all the way around. Now, again, should have been a power play goal, missed it by a second, so that would have been an encouraging sign there. Yeah, they give one up, and it's tough because the power play goal they give up, shot comes in for the right point. Sergachev goes to try to block it with his stick, ends up tipping it off the shaft of his stick in front of Connor Ingram, and it beats Ingram over the shoulder. And the deflection comes from just a few feet in front of the net. Too late to do anything. Ingram had already committed to where he was playing that puck. And, Sergachev ends up tipping it past him. It happens. I know he's trying to block the puck. It's a difficult block, even a difficult deflection for Sergachev to try to make, but he tried to make a play on the puck. And I guess you can't really fault the guy for trying to make a play on the puck. So, that's just kind of how it went for Utah Hockey Club. Again, not their best effort, but better. So I think we can safely say that. I'll tell you what we're going to safely say is that on the other side of this break, we're going to take, we're going to hear from Nick Bjugstad about his return, talk a little bit about his performance and where he fit into the Lions. And as a matter of fact, when we hear from Coach Andre Tourigny, he's going to talk about shuffling up the lines a little bit too. So that is on the way. Stick around. We will have that coming for you here in just a moment. There is more coming on the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast. And today's show is brought to you in part by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible for all. You just pick more or less on at least two players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. And you can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. And Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money, even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Who doesn't love Taco Tuesday? Each Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. And now I want tacos. Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this football season, this hockey season, this basketball season. Which players are going off, which ones aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. So what do you need to do? Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app, use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. So I'll tell you what, it's a great way to go, and a lot of these places are doing some fantastic deals for you, and Prize Picks is one of them. So download that app today. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. All right, let's talk about some Nick Bjugstad here from this game. Before we hear from Nick, talk about his stats in his return. So, first game he's played all year means it is his Utah Hockey Club debut. And I don't forget about that. And I'll remind you, maybe, the longtime fans, the everydayers, you guys know this, but maybe you're new. And so, first of all, welcome. Second of all, please subscribe, give us a like, give us a follow while you're here. And make sure you subscribe to the podcast. If you're listening to the audio version, we're also available on YouTube. If you didn't know that, you can certainly check us out on YouTube and give us a follow over there. Again, a shout out to everybody who just pushed us over the 1,000 follower mark. We so appreciate that. It's awesome. We're very excited. Crazy the growth of the show. So thank you very much. Seriously, it's awesome. So if you're new, this is a brand new franchise. New record book, new everything. So every time somebody does something, it is for the first time. And so for Bjugstad, even though he was with the Arizona Coyotes, new franchise. So this is his franchise debut for Utah. In that debut, -1, no points, 12:49 of ice time, 20 shifts. And he did get some power play time, $1.15, average 38 seconds a shift, and 11:34 at even strength. He ends up with 1 attempt blocked, 1 missed shot. Did have 4 hits, and he was tied for the team lead with Lawson Krause. That's an important stat. We're going to talk about that because that's what he brings back to this team. 1 giveaway, and was 6-4 in the face-off circle. By the way, Tom likes to harp face-offs. 36-24 in the circle today, 60%. Love it. Keep it up. Keep going, Utah. Kevin Stenlund, just holy cow. I'm going to mention him every time. If he ever has a bad face-off game, I'll mention it. But 11-4. 73% to lead the way. And by the way, Kerfoot went 5-0. So gotta love it. Guys are doing a great job in the circle. Absolutely love it. So just taking a look at Bjugstad, easing him in, rotating him through the lineup a little bit, maybe trying to initially capture a little bit of that magic from last year with Michelli and Krause. We did see some line shuffling later in this game as it went along, but I think that what Bjugstad brings, he's 32. He's the gray beard up front, but he's a guy who he knows he's a leader. He doesn't need a letter on his sweater to tell him that. He needs to be out there and play by example. And so when he's throwing the body around, when he's going to the front of the net, and one of the things that Utah did a better job of, and I talked about this on Twitter, is that just get pucks to the net. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I think, especially on the power play, Utah's been looking for perfect. They've been passing off chances on the rush because it's not perfect. They've been passing off chances on the power play because it's not perfect. Put the puck on net. LA's second goal today was exactly that. They threw it at the net. It was messy, it was ugly, and it was opportunistic. But then the next thing you know, you have a defenseman come down from the left point and score. Why? Because there was a scramble. The goalie was down. Nobody really knew where the puck went. And then Utah did that. Utah generated their second goal. Was ugly. Throw it to the front of the net. Cooley gets a tip. And he won a battle in front of the net. Logan Cooley had to win a battle against the defenseman to get his stick in the right position, tip that pass in past the goaltender. Throw it at the net. It does not have to be pretty. They don't ask you how, just how many. And I think that Utah's missing a little bit of that. Bjugstad brings some of that. So I'm excited about his return. I think that's going to be an important thing for Utah, is to have a little more sandpaper in the game, a little more grit, a little more attitude. So that's what I'm looking forward for this Utah Hockey Club right now. All right, let's take a second here and let's go ahead. Let's hear from Nick, and we'll come back on the other side of his comments.
It's a one-goal game. We got to find ways to win that, especially the last couple games we've had. I think, the good teams find ways to win in certain situations like that. I think we got more. We can create a little more inside. We've talked about it since the beginning of the year. Get a little too perimeter in the offensive zone and don't make it hard on the goalie. So we can clean that up, but I mean we were there, but being there isn't enough a lot of nights here in the NHL. So we'll figure it out. But yeah, it wasn't great, it wasn't bad, but like I said, we got better. I think it's just the mentality and believing it's going to go in and having that kind of killer instinct. You know, there's a difference between just thinking about getting shots on net and actually shooting to score. So, you know, we're going to go through times like this during the season, and you know, we got a lot of good plays in there, so we'll figure it out. And yeah, I think definitely we'll focus a little more on our starts and find ways to, you know, kind of not have to tread water and get back. I felt all right. Yeah, wind was there, and you know, on the goal, I could have been a little more on the defensive side. So yeah, just try to keep growing each and every day, and try to get better.
As a leader in the locker room, how do you keep this team going even amid this tough stretch?
No, we've been through it. We went through a real tough stretch last year, so I think we learned from those situations, and not ideal going 3 in a row here, but you know, you can't hit the panic button, and when you win, you can't feel too high of yourself. So we got the tools, we got the guys in there, and it's just going to come down to kind of having that killer instinct, as I talked about before. And you know, I think we'll for sure come out of this and be stronger for it.
All right, that's Nick Bjugstad. I think my favorite thing in there was I put it on the graphic for today's show. I felt all right. You know, it very, very, it wasn't great, wasn't bad. That's how I described the team's performance. It wasn't great, wasn't bad. We were okay. We were all right. Could have been better. Should be better. Will be better. And I think as he gets more games under him, they are going to get better. So I am encouraged by the fact that Nick Bjugstad jumps back in the lineup. And I think he knows that, yeah, there's some improvement to be made. And they're going to get to that. They're going to make things better as they go. And they're still figuring it out defensively. They're still dealing with those injuries, but they're also now really, it's going to get cramped at the front of the lineup, or I should say with the forwards is what I mean. And now you've just signed Yamamoto. You have, you know, Doan. You have all these young guys. You want to see Cooley get in there. Bjugstad returns. Liam O'Brien is there as well. This is creating a logjam. Stenlund is going to be an everyday guy, and there's no way I take him out of the lineup right now. He's just providing too much value in different situations. So players are going to have to earn it as far as ice time, as far as even the right to dress in a game. So that's good. That is a good thing. Competition for the Utah Hockey Club is a good thing. All right, we're going to take another quick break here, and when we come back on the other side of it, we're going to hear from head coach Andre Tourigny and going to talk about what's coming up next for this Utah Hockey Club. So stick around. There's more coming your way here in just a moment. And today's show is also brought to you in part by FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get the hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Check out the odds. You know, Robin and I, Robin is very good about bringing up the odds, and obviously in a post-game show, it's not much I can do with that because we've already played the game. But you know what? You check in on that. If you have questions for us, hey, drop in our Monday mailbag. I know we'll have another edition of the mailbag coming up, and that's exclusive to our Text Club members. But we'll talk about it if you want us to cover it. So, FanDuel, thank you for helping us bring our favorite show to the fans here, the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. All right, so let's go ahead and turn our attention to, again, talking about Utah Hockey Club. You know what? Why don't we do it this way? Let's go ahead and we are going to hear from head coach Andre Tourigny now, and then we'll come back and set up what's coming up.
That was a hell of a hockey game, I think. Two good teams who played really hard. I think we played hard, both sides of the puck. I think it was a one-shot game. Well, we tried to maximize our group, try to create a spark at some point offensively. I think I felt Cools was playing well. I tried, and same thing for Kells. I tried to match them together, give us a goal, try to spark something.
As far as having Nick back in the lineup, what did that do to help kind of kickstart some of that?
Yeah, he's a big guy. He protect the puck well. He can possess the puck in those kind of a game. I think he was an asset for us today. It's not the motivation, I can tell you that we got this. I think it's a really tight game. They score on the wrister from the blue line on their power play. We hit our own shot, our own stick. If you look, there are 3 goals. Shot through traffic. I think that's how stingy we were at closing the slot, and I don't think we gave up more than 6-7 shots up the slot into our game. So that's pretty good. I like the way the guys fought. Obviously, it's not the result we won, but it's a good league, good team. We played good. They played good. It's frustrating. That's it.
Okay, so to go back to the first bullet of the whole show, better. Well, certainly Andre Tourigny thinks so. He liked the effort better. He thought it was 2 good teams having a battle today. Utah comes up a little bit short. As he said there, it was a one-shot game, and LA had that one extra shot. So I think there is a better compete level. I think there is a better level of hustle. Certainly after you come back, you don't have to win the next game after you get embarrassed like that, but that Thursday night game, I think it was made clear. Certainly the post-game comments let us know as fans and press, but that team knows that's not acceptable. And people will sit. People will not play. I mentioned before the break how it's getting tight, especially if you're a forward right now. You're battling for a seat. Defense, maybe not so much, but even that's going to get packed up come the spring when you start getting guys back. So, you know what? The battle is there. And the thing is you're not just playing for right now. You're playing for next week, next month, next year, next contract. And these guys have to know that, the effort you put in now on and off the ice, the way you come to the rink, your attitude, how are you coming in every day, all matter. And, Utah, if they're going to build a winning culture, they want guys who want to be a part of that and show that they want to be a part of that. So, all right, up next for the Utah Hockey Club, taking a look at the upcoming schedule here. You have the San Jose Sharks on October 28th, Calgary Flames October 30th. They're starting to cool off a little bit. Vegas Golden Knights November 2nd, November 5th at Winnipeg. So they're back home for 2, San Jose and Calgary. Then on the road at Vegas on the 2nd, at the Peg on November 5th, and at St. Louis on November 7th. So Sharks are a team you should beat, and that'll be a good tonic, I think, for what ails the Utah Hockey Club. Calgary, boy, they started really well, but now I'm kind of wondering, who are they? And not that that's a bad thing necessarily, but it bears some questioning because they weren't supposed to be any good this year. They've started now 5-2-1 as of Saturday evening. And you're probably catching this on a Sunday morning, or maybe you're catching it Saturday night when it drops. But at 5-2-1, 8 games played, believe it or not, with that win today, now Los Angeles has leapfrogged to the top of the Pacific over Vegas and Calgary at 5-2-2. But they have 9 games in. So Vegas 5-2-1, Calgary 5-2-1. Just trying to figure out who the Flames are at this point. And you know what? There's got to be some questions here because teams behind them that are coming up, and this is just conference. Obviously, we know that Utah Hockey Club is capable of much more, but Vancouver, playoff team from last year, out of the playoffs right now. Colorado, playoff team from last year, out of the playoffs right now. Edmonton, playoff team from last year, Stanley Cup representative, not in the playoffs right now. Nashville, not in the playoffs right now, and a team that I picked to get to the Cup final this year. And they're off to a terrible start, abysmal start, but that's not who they are. So taking a look at that, man, that makes me wonder, how is all this going to play out? So Vegas is going to be a tough out. Calgary, still not sure who that is, but we're going through the Pacific Division for 3 games and then coming back over. Winnipeg, boy, that's a tough out. 8-0 for Winnipeg. And the Jets just look so good. They look so good. And they beat Calgary 5-3 on Saturday, and they're just a brick wall. And I mean, I'll go back and talk about it till I'm blue in the face, but between them and now Dallas, fewest goals allowed in the league, and Winnipeg is scoring. They should be scaring the pants off everybody. They already, in 8 games, Winnipeg has a +20 goal differential. That's insane. If you don't know, if you don't recognize, that's nuts. +20 already. That's crazy. And the Rangers are +18, also equally insane. But the next closest team in the West, Vegas and Dallas, are at +10. That just tells you how much better Winnipeg has been than every opponent they've played so far. And then November 7th, you got St. Louis. So that's a little bit of a look ahead. What's coming up. Good to see Bjugstad back in the lineup. Really glad to see him get back out there. Again, props to Cooley for getting his first. So congratulations to Logan. That's a big moment in any player's career. So that's fantastic. And we are very pleased to see him, get to that milestone, because it is a big one. It really is. So, you know what? I think right now, just taking a quick look at the stat line for this team and knowing where Utah is, it's going to get jammed up front. Your scratches today, Valley Mackey was out, which he didn't play. He actually hadn't played well the last couple of games, so I don't mind that. O'Brien and Carcone were the scratches for Utah today. I think you may see Valley Mackey out for a little while longer. So today, all the D, that was Kesselring, Lamoureux was in there. And then you also had Sergachev, Cole, Bortuzzo, and Kolyachonok. So things are pretty unsettled towards the middle bottom of the defense right now. I know they're not going to want to keep Lamoureux up all season, so you imagine that Valley Mackey rotates back in at some point, but I don't know that that's who sits while he's up. While you need 7 healthy defensemen at the NHL level, because you never know who's going to take a puck in the face game day skate. And I've seen it happen. I've seen guys get knocked out in warmups, and all of a sudden you got to address somebody else. So don't think it doesn't happen. And that's why they got to keep that 7. But right now, I think Valley Mackey just needs to get his confidence back and, have a good week of practice. And maybe he does get out there against the Sharks. Actually, if I'm going to throw him out there, maybe that's the team I throw him out there against, because San Jose, obviously not a great team to begin with, but also without their potential rookie of the year candidate for another, I want to say, couple of weeks. If Robin was here, Robin would know. But, when you're missing arguably your team's best and most promising player, certainly also doesn't help your outlook. So, but that'll be coming up on October 28th, which is Monday. And that is a 7:00 Mountain Standard Time start at home against the Sharks. So that's going to wrap it up for me. I appreciate you being here for the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast post-game show edition. 3-2, the loss from regulation to the LA Kings. Robin will be back with us. Don't forget, if you do want to text us, send a text to 801-760-9033. And you can text us anything you want. Tom is the greatest. 801-760-9033 to get you started with the text club. And we are going to do the mailbag coming up for our text club members. Want to remind everybody of that. So get your questions in now. Text your questions in so we can feature them on Monday's show. So we look forward to mailbag questions there. And we always encourage your questions, period. If you have questions, comments, leave them here on YouTube or you can always reach out to us. I'm on Twitter, or X, as it were, at Callahan on Air. That's where I am the most active. You can find the show on pretty much every social media platform in existence, at LO_Utah. And you'll see a lot of our stuff out there. And so, I mean, if you generally, Robin is monitoring that stuff, but I will see some of it as well. Get us through the Facebook page. We're in a lot of different places, Instagram. So if you look for Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast, you'll be able to find us. But we always encourage the questions. We're here to help. We're here to try to teach if you need and I have gotten questions on Twitter, and I am very thankful for folks reaching out, and I love explaining stuff. So, but if you have anything for the mailbag and you're on the text club, send that in. All right, that's it. I got to stop talking. We got to get out of here. Tough one, 3-2 loss. And I want to say thanks to everybody. And again, great job. Thanks for getting us over 1,000 on YouTube. It means an awful lot to us in the growth of this show. We love what we're doing, and it enables us to keep doing this show for you. So thanks a lot, everybody. We'll talk to you next time. This has been Tom Callahan for the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast.